All right, hello. Welcome to week 3 of MUS E536 Contemporary Techniques and Tools for Composition and Performance. Today we're going to get into a quick overview of Ableton Live. Just going over some common preferences, the top menu bar, arrangement and session view, the browser, channel functions, the difference between MIDI and audio, and the information view. So let's go ahead and get started. Share my screen. Okay, so the first tab that you want to look at in your preferences section is your audio device driver. Right now I'm using Core Audio because I'm on a MacBook. If you had your USB interface, then you would want to select the driver for that. You have your audio input device and your audio output device. I'm using my built-in microphone, but again, um, for both of these, you would want to use your interface unless you are on Zoom recording like I am currently. As far as sample rate goes, you would want to stay at 44, 100, and at 512 for your buffer size because of the Nyquist theorem. We'll talk about that further on in the course. And then if you needed to do drive error compensation, you would do that here. Right here, you can do a test tone to double check that your output is working. Down here, and the MIDI tab is where you would select your control surface. I don't currently have my launch key hooked up, but that is my control surface that I have here. If you need to get rid of something, you can click dump. Um, Down here in file folder, you can have a folder for where you'd like for your data to go, and um, anything to do with Macs would be right here. In our library, let's see. All right, here in the file folder, you can have your a temporary folder for the data that you record from any session to be located. In our library, this is where you want the location of your user library and your folder for packs. And plugins, you can always, if you download a new plugin, you can always rescan for new additional plugins. But if you'd like to have a custom folder for your VST 2s or 3s, you can always set those here and here. And that's all the preferences we need to go over for the moment. Okay, so let's get into the top menu bar here. This is a link function to link with other Ableton users connected in the same network. So this is how you would activate that. This is the tap button to where you can uh, tap it to the tempo of a track, and you can adjust the tempo that way. It'll adjust it to there for you. And this is how you can turn on your metronome, turn it off, and this is for your count in. Most important thing is this is where you would this is your playhead and you stop and you record. Um, Now over here, this is where you can MIDI. This is where you can MIDI map parameters. So if I wanted to MIDI map this right here, I would select it and then hit F, MIDI note on my keyboard, and that's how you would do MIDI mapping. We'll get into more of that later. Mostly what I wanted to speak with you about is right here. So we have this browser here. This is where you'll have your sounds located, your drums, your instruments, um, and audio effects. Um, your external plugins, And then down here, these are places where you can put your own personal folders, um, any packs that you may have downloaded. This is where all that's going to be located. But before we get into any of that, you have two types of tracks. So you have either MIDI tracks or audio tracks. Now these are MIDI tracks, and if you look inside here, this is MIDI data. The difference between MIDI data and audio data is that audio is going to have a saved recorded file, and MIDI is going to have a recording of the MIDI notes that are selected with the data, with the velocity and whatnot. And so you have two views here. So this is called arrangement view. And this is where a lot of people get thrown off, because typically when you're in most DAWs, it looks like this, which is session view. This is a linear timeline where you record things linearly and you play them back. But this here in arrangement view is a little different. So to explain that, one of the great functions about Live is that you're able to jump back and forth between different parts of your song. So this clip here is just going to play this top upright piano clip, and then when I click to part 2, it's going to play both of these clips together, and so on and so forth. And you can feel free to use your MIDI controller and map these to where you can change your song in real time. That's one of the great features about Live. Another one is, if I was to hit record, go ahead and start that, but if I was to hit record here, this is going to record this data over into arrangement view. So if I go ahead and hit record, then I'm going to go ahead and stop once that clip's over. And you'll see over here I have that data. Now it's highlighted at the moment because we need to enable arrangement view by clicking this green playhead tab up here at the top right. So once I click that, that brings this info to us, and you can see that it is the same information that I just recorded over there in arrangement view. Now, getting to over here, you have your reverb channel, your delay channel, and your master channel. So each one of these channels has an A and a B send for A, your reverb, and B, your delay, which will then go through to your master channel. Down here you can pan your audio out left or right. This right here is an indicator to see if you're clipping at any volume. This says the peak volume. Peak volume is the highest the highest peak volume at any given instantaneous time. And so it's at 11.2, and this indicates which channel number it is. You can solo tracks. You can unsolo them, and then you can switch between whichever channel you'd like by hitting this record tab down here, and that will indicate which channel you're recording on. Now if I wanted to record audio from my microphone in here, I can just select monitor in, and now you can hear my voice through there, and you would just hit record. So then finally you have your master channel over here, and this is where you can add a master, a limiter, or things of that nature. Down here, this is going to be our info view. So if I had something, if I was to go over attack time, it tells me how long it's going to take to reach maximum compression once the signal exceeds the threshold. So really handy. Everything, the data in live, as far as the help menu up here in um, the live manual is a really great resource. Um, that's kind of the gist of what I wanted to go over for today. But thank you for your time and have a great day. Bye. Hello, welcome to week 4 of MUSE 536 Contemporary Techniques and Tools in Composition and Performance. This week we're working on a sampling project. Um, so we start by getting found samples and then using those in a Ableton Live session to create a composition. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. I began this project by arming this audio track here and recording directly into Ableton. Just some objects found around the house. And then what I did was I selected the samples that I liked and made a copy of them down here. You can do that real easy. You just select the region, right click, hit copy, and just bring it down to another audio track and hit paste. After you've got that waveform, what you're going to want to do is, because this is actually a part of the entire recording, so what you want to do is you want to crop that sample, and then you can right click and go to show in browser, and that's going to bring it up here under crop, and you can hit Command R or Control R if you're on Windows, and that will allow you to rename it to whatever you want. I've already gone ahead and selected the ones that I want, and what I've done is I've created a little folder here. You just go to add folder, and you can either create a new folder on your desktop or wherever you'd like to save it. I've already done that. So I went ahead and I named it recorded samples. And in there, you can see that I've got um, there's a little bass drum, candle jar. Um, this is actually a piece of metal that had it's kind of like a gyro table hit, tin can, and a vitamin bottle. So those are my percussive sounds. And then I have one more here that is, let me arm this track here. This is a glass jar. So I'm going to go ahead and do what we talked about earlier and right click, crop the sample, and I'm going to go to show in browser, Command R to rename it, and I'm going to name this glass jar. Hit enter, and I'm going to drag this down to my recorded samples folder. So now that it's in here, I have all of the samples that we need, at least five percussive samples and one or two harmonic sounds. So the next step would be to go here to a MIDI track, double click it, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to drums, and we're going to drag in a drum rack. So just go ahead and click it. Now, if you don't have a MIDI controller, one thing that you can do is you can utilize your computer MIDI keyboard. Just make sure that that's enabled. And what I like to do is go ahead and pick where I would like to play on my computer keyboard. And you can see that there's a little highlight there where indicating the where that is. So we'll go ahead and click in here. It looks like it's at C3. So what I can do is I can go into the recorded samples folder, and I'm going to go ahead and put my bass drum right there. on C3. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to drag it down on top of the C3. That will automatically put it into a sampler for me. And now I have the ability to play it. However, um, what you're going to want to do is select the region and crop the sample. So we're going to zoom in here into the waveform. And it looks like it begins about right there. Not the best bass drum hit, but it will do for this purpose. Now we'll go ahead and add in the table hit. Select that region. So now you kind of get where I'm going with this. You're going to want to go ahead and add in all your samples into this drum rack. Use your MIDI controller if that's how you'd like to do it. Select the regions. You can also taper off some of this. Now the next step is to use the harmonic sound. For the harmonic sound, the next thing that you want to do is go ahead and arm the second MIDI track, and we're going to grab the sampler, and we're going to go back to our folder here. I'm going to input the candle jar sample in there. Now we have this detune function, which is going to come in handy because you're going to want to make sure that a C note is a C note when you trigger it either with your computer MIDI or your computer keyboard or your MIDI controller. So first we'll go ahead and crop the sample like we did before. And the next step is we're gonna go to audio effects and we're gonna select the tuner. This will let us know where we're at. Looks like we're at an A and it should be a C. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna detune this and we're going to change the root note to A. So now when I hit the C note, what should be the C note, because I've changed this to A, it becomes the C note. Now, looks like we're plus 48 cents. Turn it up a little bit, 48 cents. And so now we have a C, and I can. So next step of this would be to go ahead and create a 30-second composition using only these found samples. Then I would like for you to collect all files and save. So you're going to go in here to File in Ableton. You're going to go to, when you go to save, you want to collect all and save. Now what that's going to do is it's going to save every sample that you've cropped, put in this folder. Make sure that all of your session data is going to be there. And then finally, I'd like for you to export a 24-bit wave audio file and be prepared to share and show your work in class. All right, thank you for your time. Bye. Hello and welcome to MUSE 536, Contemporary Techniques and Tools in Composition and Performance. This lecture is going to be about implementing audio effects and MIDI effects in your session. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So let's start with this upright piano track that I have here. This channel, it's a MIDI channel, so I've added a MIDI device from the MIDI option in the browser, and I just went ahead and added an arpeggiator, so I can show you what that clip sounds like without the arpeggiator. And then with the arpeggiator enabled, and of course you can play with settings to the as far as the rate, the gate. You can change the order in which it decides to select the notes. And then again, I can disable that by hitting this orangish yellow button up in the top left of the MIDI device. So I have the ability to trigger these at any time. In the next lesson, we'll explain a little bit more about how to use your MIDI controller to control those functions yourself in real time. Again, that's one of the greatest features about Live is its performance capabilities, as well as everything else that it's capable of. Moving on to audio tracks. This track, what I've done is I've resampled the upright piano audio. So if I solo this without any of the audio effects, which again are available to be grabbed from the browser window right over here, and I have an overdrive, a pitch hack. I used an audio device called the EQ8 to filter out some of the noise that I didn't want, and a delay. So the audio sounds just like the piano. If I play that, excuse me, the delay was on. So if I go ahead and enable the delay, this is what it sounds like. I went ahead and added some overdrive on a specific range of the audio. Kind of gives it a guitar sound. Then I use this pitch hack and an EQ filter. And so that's what that sounds like after it's done. Just sort of gives the piece a little bit of texture and specific parts of the audio. So I can go ahead and play through this and show you an example of how I might use some of these things in real time. Again, without the MIDI controller, and then in the next session, we'll go ahead and talk about MIDI mapping and things of that nature. So if I go ahead and start here and unsolo. About the second time through, I'll go ahead and enable the arpeggiator. Turn that off and move on to the next portion of the song. Maybe come back and add the arpeggiator again. So these are just some tools that are in your arsenal within Live. There are many audio effects and many MIDI effects. I haven't even begun to cover even a portion of those for you. They're all there for you to dive into and discover on your own. Again, you always have this info view area where you're able to get any information about what each specific function of these tools does. But I just wanted to explain to you how MIDI effects are used on MIDI tracks and audio effects are used in audio tracks. That covers today's lesson, and thank you for your time. Bye. Hello and welcome to MUSE 536 Contemporary Techniques and Tools in Composition and Performance. Today we're going to be talking about MIDI mapping to your MIDI controller and using effects automation in Ableton Live. Let's get started. Okay, so again, as in the previous video, you're going to make sure that you have your MIDI controller enabled and selected in the preferences section. If you need to, you can refer back to the last video to see how to do that. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do when MIDI mapping is you're going to need to use your mouse to select what object that you would like to MIDI map and what parameter, and then you will use the selected MIDI notes that you'd like to map on the keyboard to link those two together. So let me show you how that works. You're going to go to the top right and you're going to select MIDI, and you'll see that everything is highlighted in blue that is able to be MIDI mapped. So here I have note A1 selected to the device on, so I'm able to turn this device on and off. So how I did that was I clicked on device on and I hit A1. Let's say I wanted to also change the pitch. I can just turn this rotary knob after clicking it, and you'll see that that's going to be there. You can also adjust the minimum and maximum range for the rotary knob. This can be quite useful if you're only trying to do a limited selection. For example, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to go over to my master channel, and I'm going to grab the frequency filter cutoff, and I'm going to go ahead and use this rotary knob by clicking it, and then I'm going to turn this rotary dial, um, and that will give me the ability to use that in real time. So I'm going to go ahead and select off of MIDI. So you'll see that when I turn this rotary knob, I am able to move this auto filter left and right, just right here from my MIDI controller. While performing live, this can be a great tool in your arsenal for performance. The next thing that I would like to discuss with you would be how to use effect automation and edit that in arrangement view. So if I was to right click on this filter frequency knob, I can select show automation in new lane. It's going to take me directly to arrangement view. Again, hit this orange playhead in order to enable those clips. And you'll see that there is a red line right here that is showing me my auto filter frequency. You can minimize that, or you can re-enlarge it. If you need to find it again, just go ahead and select show automation in new lane. So for example, you can add these little markers here and bend down, or you can feel free to zoom in. Um, you can also insert shapes. So if I wanted that to have like a logarithmic, or more of a curve to it, I can select one of these functions in order to make that happen. If you want to delete one of these markers, you can just double click on them, and that will, or sorry, just click on them, and that will delete the anything that you've done that you want undone. And this can be really great for controlling different parts of your track while you're performing other parts of the song. So really, performance is all about knowing exactly what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you would like to perform that. So what I like to do personally is have myself a cheat sheet, or um, to tape on my MIDI controller what parameters that each thing I've met for that song is going to be on my MIDI controller, just to always know exactly where it's at. Um, Again, rehearsal is key too with any performance. So just because we're not in an ensemble doesn't mean that you shouldn't rehearse your piece. Um, and that's all I have for today. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye. Hello and welcome to MUSE 536 Contemporary Techniques and Tools in Composition and Performance. This is week 9. What we're going to be working on this week is BPM matching and time stretching in Ableton Live. Start by giving you an example. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the session that we're going to be working on today. I'm using Otis Redding's sitting at the docket on the dock of the bay chord section. this is the final outcome of what it should sound like.
So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Okay, so let me open a new session and we'll start from scratch. All right, so we've inserted the clip into session view, into an audio track. When you double click it, it'll bring up this info panel down here. You turn warp off. That will make the tempo that this plays back not be affected by the live's global tempo. And the way that we can adjust it and find the tempo of the clip is to use this tap button and click to the beats to the clip. And once we finish, we'll check it back with the metronome to make sure it lines up. So I'm going to first select a region here. It's right about here.
So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away.
And as it's playing, I'm going to click this tap
on
button.
the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like
Go ahead and set that to loop current region. Play that back, see where we're at.
so I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
So that sounds like it's pretty well lined up. So now you're able to use this in whatever variation you'd like to use it. You can also do this with instrumental tracks. Doesn't necessarily have to be a vocal loop. It could be basically for what have you. So tonight's homework will be to basically select your own vocal a cappella and go ahead and apply time stretching. And I want you to compose a composition to that chorus. You're free to add a verse into it if you'd like to. You get as creative as you'd like. And I will see you next week. Thank you for your time.